It's one of the most beloved nations to visit, and yet few travelers make it this far. To an untamed and breathtaking corner of the world where the landscape is more than beautiful, it's powerful. And the people? Oh, the people. It's at the edge of a country and a continent. This is the northwest coast of Ireland. I'm Samantha Brown, and I've traveled all over this world. And I'm always looking to find the destinations, the experiences, and most importantly, the people who make us feel like we're really a part of a place. That's why I have a love of travel, and why these are my places to love. The Republic of Ireland has one of the most epic drives in the world, the Wild Atlantic Way. It follows the country's western coastline 1,500 miles from stem to stern. I'm following its curves along its untamed northern half, starting in Sligo. We all know and take for granted how beautiful all of Ireland is, but one man in particular wrote about it in a way that makes us all long for it.
This is the quintessential Yeatsian landscape, to use big words. We're looking out on Lough Gill, and there are 4 of the early poems in this very view itself. There's the Fiddler of Dooney, there's the Stolen Child, and then just behind where the mountain tips down is the Lake Isle of Innisfree. And then the whole area, everything that we see in this landscape, was part of the Hazelwood estate. I went out to the Hazelwood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. My name is Damien Brennan. I'm chair of the Yeats International Summer School, now in its 58th year, and I'm a council member of the Yeats Society. I'm passionate about all things to do with our National Poet Laureate, William Butler Yeats.
What would you think his most popular poem was, or his most important?
Nice question. It's not the most important, but the most famous poem is the Lake Isle of Innisfree. It's off there in the distance on the lake. It is, Innis is the Gaelic word for an island. Free, Frake, is the Gaelic word for heather. So it's really Heather Island.
It's remarkable to me that looking out at the landscape, looks like it hasn't changed much from what he would have seen.
No,
I don't see any build-up. It's so perfectly preserved.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that the Celtic tiger didn't actually do any damage to the Yeatsian landscape. And indeed, the houses that he's associated with here in Sligo are all still here in the landscape. And so 150 years, 152 years after his birth, we still have really the Yeatsian Sligo intact, which we're very fortunate.
So Yeats was one of the greatest poets of the 20th century, but how was he instrumental in helping the Irish understand and be proud of their own national identity?
Through the 1890s and the early 1900s, it was a great nationalist movement, but he was absolutely determined that it should be an artistic movement as well, and so that there should be a revival of the Celtic traditions and the Celtic history and an appreciation of that. He believed if Ireland was to become a nation, which it did by 1922, it should have an art and a culture and a theatre and a drama and a poetry to match any commercial or agrarian success.
And he was a part of all of those things.
He was absolutely at the forefront of that. He won the Nobel Prize in 1923. He was the leader of the pack.
Damien's maternal ancestors have owned this land overlooking the Yeatsian landscape since 1824, and now he and his wife give Yeats dinners in their modern farmhouse.
I introduced them to Yeats and to the beauty of poetry, and if you do that in the landscape that inspires it, it gives them such courage to go out and buy a book of Yeats and to enjoy it and say, I was there and now I understand under Bear Ben Bulben's head in Drumcliff Churchyard Yeats is laid, or the wind has bundled up the cloud high over Knocknarea, or the Lake Isle of Innisfree, I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree.
And so Yeats, this was where his happiness sort of lied and where his poems were constructed, the ones that we know so well. Where is he now?
Where is he now? Well, he's buried at Drumcliff, but on September the 4th of 1938, he finishes what we think of as the last poem, and it's called Under Ben Bulben. Ben Bulben is the great prow mountain gouged out by the ice melting off Europe about 12,000 years ago, and it stands proud over Sligo, It and Knocknaray. And he takes himself back there. Under Bear Ben Bulben's head in Drumcliff churchyard Yeats is laid. An ancestor was rector there long years ago, a church stands near. And he goes on then to give his epitaph, cast a cold eye on life, on death, horsemen pass by.
Just right over to our right is Mullaghmore, and right ahead of us are the Donegal Mountains, the wonderful Slieve League. And then right behind us we have the iconic Ben Bulben.
Oh, yes. My God.
Like a tabletop mountain, they say. I'm Pranny Rattigan. I'm a doctor of family medicine, and I have been enjoying seaweeds and the health benefits of seaweeds since I was a child. Well, I've been actually coming here probably in a pram with my parents because that's where they used to come to harvest. And then, of course, now, look at me, I'm doing it myself voluntarily.
And you're going to teach me.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes, I am.
Excellent.
I am.
So what seaweed will we be foraging today?
I'd love you to see the sea spaghetti, but we may just be a little late. I organise Sligo Seaweed Days, which is a really fun day where we go out and we harvest seaweeds, bring them back, and I show people how to cook with them, and then we sit down and we enjoy a really nice meal. So we're so lucky because this is the subtidal level on this peninsula. We're so lucky to see this.
And I love just seeing it swirl in the water like that. I mean, it's just gorgeous, the patterns that it makes.
It is. It's wonderful. I mean, it tastes so good, it looks so good, and it is so good.
Can you eat it right
now? Yes, you can eat it just right away. Will I cut you a little snip?
Please, thank you.
Yeah.
So I've never seen this before. Is this just like deeper in the waters?
Well, you know, I'm not sure. Do you have it in the United States?
I've never seen it.
I think it might be a European seaweed. And, you know, really,
That is fantastic.
Oh, God, I'm so glad you like it.
That's like an al dente pasta. It really is.
It is. And it has the crunch like carrots.
That's the wonderful thing about foraging, is that nature just keeps replenishing and you're never going to just deplete a source.
So long as you harvest sustainably. We just take a little bit from here and a little bit from there.
A little haircut.
Yeah, a little haircut, exactly. Now, of course, you can cook it half and half with ordinary spaghetti and have a wonderful sauce then over it, and you have just a real amazing dish.
That is
so
wonderful.
It's so good. This is a deep water kelp.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that is so neat.
So it's so beautiful.
Well,
it's just,
I didn't even see that. You just pulled that out of your hat. That was like a magic trick.
Yeah, isn't it so beautiful? So that's like the kombu that the Asians would use for their soups and so on. And again, we just give it a little haircut. And we can take that and make some chips with it or something like that. Our Irish moss is here at this level.
Right, okay.
Will I harvest you a little bit of that so you can have a look at it?
So just in this little tidal pool here, how many different types of seaweed can we forage?
Oh my goodness, there are about 10 in this area here.
Kinds. But really, I mean, I grew up on the seacoast of New Hampshire,
yes.
So I'm very aware of some of the other seaweed that I saw. And it was always that seaweed, they're like, ooh, and you're just kind of squishy, and you stepped in it and tried to get to the beach and you didn't really like it. But this gives me a newfound respect for a wonderful food source. So even though we're foraging, there's a bit of a farm culture here of when you can harvest, when certain seaweeds come into season.
This is like a garden all of its own. So things come into season and things go out of season.
And this to me looks like lettuce.
You're absolutely spot on. This is one of the types of sea lettuce. You can actually just snip it like this into your salad. Oh. It adds not just flavour, but nutrients. In fact, they've been described as the most nutritious form of vegetation on the planet.
Seaweed is sort of having a moment now.
It is having a moment.
And it's been in your life for many years. So does that mean that people here in this area have been eating seaweed all along and we're just kind of catching on to this?
Seaweed didn't enjoy huge popularity when we were children.
Oh, sure. I mean, you look at it. It's a visual thing. This is what I grew up on.
Oh, really?
This is what I remember.
Okay, the fucus vesiculosus, the bladder rat.
Well, I didn't know the Latin word for it.
What did you call it when you were kids?
Seaweed.
Oh, okay.
Friends, wait a minute, down there.
I'm gonna lie down. Okay. So how long does it take to train Clint to do that?
It took Clint about a year to a year and a half, yes.
And what type of dogs do you use?
Border Collies is the only dog that's suitable for herding sheep.
So he's just on alert,
On alert.
essentially.
He knows what's
He's
going
a
on.
hard-working dog.
He is
as
a
we
good
like to
working
say.
dog. The night before last night it was getting dark and I was caught with sheep on one of the hills.
What's a hull?
Hill.
Oh, a hill.
Hill, a mountain.
Sorry.
What do you see now if I say, Clint, look,
Wow.
stay there. Do you know? But that takes a while to get them.
So to be a great sheep man, what do you have to be?
You have to know your sheep. You have to know your stock, and you know the difference between a good sheep and not too good a sheep.
Well, what is that?
One that's, well, you know, like people, there's somebody not too good and there's some, you know, to look at.
Yes.
So sheep are the same.
Good looking.
Yes,
like
good
an
looking.
appearance.
Yes, and they have to stand properly, believe it or not, and they have to have a nice length with them, etc., and all that.
Why does it matter what a sheep looks
There
like?
you go.
Well, why does it
Well,
matter?
I couldn't look at a bad one.
When you're out driving around Donegal, it just feels like you're in this remote, unpopulated corner of the world. But then, it's not long before you come across a busy town center like the town of Donegal itself, or a stunning beach. And of course, there's just enjoying the road along the way.
There's a lot of just trusting the road will be there. I've got sheep to the left of me and sheep to the right. Here I am stuck in the middle with you.
But let there be no doubt, when in Ireland, all roads lead to a good pub. And in my case, the road led to one of the best, most remote gastropubs in the country. This seafood chowder that I'm eating right now, this is what you're known for, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. This is Chef Enda McDonough and his wife and manager of the restaurant, Marisa. And when they say local ingredients, they mean just down the road.
And we try and get all our seafood locally. So we use Greencastle Pier. So our local fish merchant, he will go twice a week and he will go to the market and he will buy our fish.
Right here from these waters.
Yeah, because we're such a small country pub, we like to involve all our local suppliers and local produce.
We're so lucky that just out the road, they actually have oyster beds and they also export a lot of stuff. So we need to try and use less exporting and more using what we have. One of our chefs in the kitchen, their brothers have a fishing boat. So they've grown up around fish. I go to the pier, I take it off the boat. You know, you have such close contacts that they'll ring their sisters and say, we've just pulled in, we have X, Y, and Z. So I'll just drive down and you know, get it.
So it's that local and it's that immediate when it comes right to the menu.
Yeah, for sure. I have a guy who has lobster pots and he just nips out and gets me a couple of
He will
lobsters.
jump on the boat and just go out, take a pot
weather
off.
permitting, yes.
That goes for our meat as well, like our local butcher in Carndonagh. It's all of his animals are reared in Donegal.
Why did you choose to stay here rather than go to where, you know, in Kinsale or Kenmare or just where there are huge tourist hubs where
We've
you're always going
travelled
to
around
get
Ireland and we've worked around Ireland. And I suppose we made a decision to come back home because we have the experience and the skills, so we wanted to come and settle in Inishowen.
My dad also offered us a field to build a house on, so that sometimes I'm the only daughter, so yeah, that doesn't help.
That was a little incentive.
So just watching you, I've been trying to figure out all the moving parts and how it all comes together to create this incredible fabric. And I haven't got a clue. It is an amazing mechanism.
Your whole body moves with it.
I'm Eddie Doherty, and I'll be one of the last hand weavers of Donegal hand-woven tweed.
So Donegal has always been an epicenter for Irish tweed, and especially the town we're in now, Ardra.
Yeah, the town, yeah.
At the height, how many weavers were here?
Well, McGee's had about 140 in my time.
140
About
weavers.
140 weavers.
You said at your time.
I've been hand weaving tweed since 1956, 61 years.
And who taught you?
You would be coming home from school and every second person in this village was weaving. And even in the front rooms in the houses in this village here now in the front street.
They'd put you to work?
Yeah, and I would say there was about at least about 180 to 180 weavers.
How many now are here?
None. Oh, they're gone.
Well, you are here, but you're left.
One left now.
Are there different patterns to tweed? Here's the herringbone.
Oh, you could do 100 patterns on those machines. They're all different. There's so many different things you wouldn't believe it. They're fish bones, and they're planes, and they're straight twill, broken twill, and that kind of stuff. But the herringbones is popular.
How long are your days?
In the winter time, I could weave maybe at least 10 hours a day. Yeah.
You weave
Oh,
10
yeah.
hours a day.
That's the time you're building up your stock then.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
You build it up for winter.
For winter, and then we go to craft fairs and that kind of thing
Okay.
as well, right in the winter time.
And in the summer, what is it, 7,
Well,
8?
there's a lot of talking in the summertime. You don't call it work.
People are coming in.
Yeah.
But when they come through your shop, people are looking for something special.
They're looking for something special. Yeah, they are.
When you are here 10 hours, give me an idea of what you can make in 10 hours, because this is so labor intensive. Is it enough fabric for a
if I would
jacket?
done 100 metres, I would do it about at least 14 throws, 15 throws a day.
Like blanket throws?
Yeah, blanket throws.
15 in a day?
Yeah, oh, at least.
Oh my gosh, you could go up against a machine, couldn't you?
No.
What do you love most about Donegal? It's very different than, say, Galway and Kinsale and Dublin, where most travellers go to. It's a special.
As they say, it's more rugged, the scenery and all that kind of stuff. And we're coastal as well, and I don't think you get anything nicer.
There's a nice pace here as well.
There's plenty of pace. Yeah, we never look for the time or anything else. It's all whenever you come home, it's all right.
We're on a sacred mountain, you know. The whole of Slieve League, this is a sacred mountain. There's a pilgrimage here going back thousands of years, pre-Christian times. Donegal is very unknown, and Slieve League, even within Donegal, is unknown. We're very modest, you see. We don't boast about things.
What does Slieve League mean?
Slieve is one of the Irish words for a mountain. League is an Irish word for a flagstone or a flat stone.
So this whole expanse is Slieve League.
This is all Slieve League. The very summit is way over there.
So that's the highest point?
Yeah, just under 2,000 feet high.
Wow! My gosh, I'm not scared of heights, but I think I'm just gonna lean on this rock if you don't mind.
No, lean away. Even rocks need the hug now and then, you know.
I'm looking for a seatbelt. If I could, I'd just snap myself in.
Hold on
Just to be
tight.
really sad. How high are we?
Oh, we're up high enough now, Sam.
Is that a scientific term in Ireland?
That's a scientific term, yes.
Got it.
High enough and higher.
Are we we're not at the highest point though of
No,
Slieve
we're not.
League.
We're below 1,000 feet here.
The cliffs of Moher are what?
Cliffs of Moher are just over 700, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, we're over 2.5 times higher.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And yet you get just a trickle of the tourists that
Oh,
make
very
it.
few, very few. You've seen that yourself today. There's hardly anyone here. We're in the height of the season here.
What an amazing little corner of the world we're at. I feel like I'm at the top of the world and at the end of one at the same time.
You're on the end of Ireland here
Yeah,
in ways,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the top of the world is right. Slieve League actually is a lot closer to your home than you think, because Slieve League is part of the Appalachian chain. This is the start of the international leg of the Appalachian Trail.
So this was a part of the whole, the same sort of geological happening that created the Appalachians.
The same landmass, a bit before our time, 200 million years ago.
I love a man who thinks I'm younger than I am.
Oh, you're a lot younger than that, don't kid you. So way down south of the equator, and as the landmass moved up north, it's divided apart. We came over here and you went over there.
How would you describe the difference between the people of Donegal to the rest of your island? Because you really are cut off. This is a much more remote, fantastic landscape. How do you feel that affects you?
Well, Donegal, you see, is a county that's feels at times it's not in the north of Ireland, and it doesn't feel it's in the south at times. So it's kind of in a conundrum. So Donegal kind of has gone on its own in lots of ways, you know, which is probably very good in the tourist end of things because it's very untouched.
Yes.
It's very, very as it was hundreds, if not thousands of years ago.
Ched I wanna do, ched I wanna do, ched I wanna do very. Ched I wanna do sponsa walla mata da wanna do janda. Ska make yenni da na yenni, ska make yenni very.
Misha Moya Brennan, Coltar agus Skrivnar is Duna now.
So I am in a part of Ireland that speaks Irish.
It's Gaelic, yeah.
Our first language.
It's called the Gaeltart, and our first language is Gaelic. I started singing with my father Leo here in Leo's Tavern, and this is where Clanad also started.
The whole west coast of Ireland has 3 different Gaeltachts, which is 3 different dialects of Irish as well. So we have a particular Gaelic to Donegal, which is Ulster Gaelic.
Did it always embrace the Irish language?
There were times when it was regarded as a poor man's language, so people were kind of nearly ashamed to speak it in the cities. When we started to sing, we were singing in Gaelic, which was kind of unheard of at the time. And you're talking about the late 60s, early 70s, when my father opened this pub. And, you know, and people would say to us in Dublin, says, you know, you have a grand sound there, but, you know, sing in English because nobody's going to listen to you, you know.
You were very brave.
We didn't listen. We continued to sing in Irish.
Clanad made the Irish tunes and songs very trendy. You know, there's 30 and 40-year-olds now and they're saying, you know, you inspired me because we were listening to you and you were on top of the pops, you know, which was a big...
English music
The English music charts with an Irish, Gaelic song, like, was unheard of. And it was just like, everybody was like, wow, it's so cool. Like, and all of a sudden, yeah, we know that song. And it's like, you know, it's really, really, it's quite good.
So before I've been to Donegal, I would have described your music as fantasy, otherworldly, and now that I'm here, I'm
You can see it.
Oh.
Yeah. This is absolutely correct, because when people have asked me when I play abroad, wherever, whether it's, you know, in Europe or America or Australia or whatever, they often would have asked the question, well, you know, where did you get the sound? Yeah. And I said, if you ever go to Ireland, go to Donegal, because there is an earthiness here.
And it's not, now I know, it's not Irish music. It's Donegal music.
It's Donegal. It's part of the, it's part of the landscape.
This landscape.
And the atmosphere here, and as I said, the earthiness, very, very much so.
So a part of what you wanted to accomplish with Clanad, it was to introduce your language?
It wasn't deliberate. You know, my father, like, he grew up with his parents playing music on stage and traveling around the country. And then he took over the show band that my grandparents from my father's side started. Entertainment was the only thing that he ever knew.
And there was all the young children, of course, us growing up, 9 of us.
I'm the eldest of 9.
Yeah.
And I'm the youngest.
Yeah. You're the oldest of 9, and you're the middle, and you're
Five girls and 4 boys.
Wow, that'll age a man.
So my mum thought, how can I keep him at home more often?
Well, exactly.
He wanted a place where there was a stage to bring families in, get people up singing with him. He said every entertainer in Ireland with a name has been on the stage with him, but including all of us.
I wanna do, I wanna do, I wanna do very. I wanna do sponsor all of my dad, I wanna do janta.
A traveller that comes to Donegal will experience the atmosphere of the music, the arts and the culture that comes from this area.
They'll be well catered for, well looked after.
You're discovering the most unspoiled part of Ireland in County Sligo and County Donegal, and you're discovering the landscape that emerged after the last ice age in its pristine condition.
A traveller coming to the northwest of Ireland, I suppose, is, in a sense, travelling back in time.
When you feel the exhilaration of standing on top of the world, and then the joy of being shown the kindness, hospitality, and humor of people who bring us down to earth, that is when we share a love of travel. And that's why the northwest coast of Ireland is a place to love.
I wanna go down.